Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent beneath the undergrowth. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maya from grade 8, and today I want to invite you all to embark on a journey that takes us to the heart of life's crossroads. Now I know that this may sound very abstract, but just like the persona in Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken, published on the Fanfare of Accolades, picture this. You're standing at a fork in the road, with many paths stretching out in front of you. Some lead to triumph, others to pitfalls, and still others to somewhere in the middle where you cannot be sure. Now imagine that you can only pick one path to venture down into. Now, this is exactly the feeling of being left in the dark, the feeling of uncertainty that I want to delve into today. Because I'm sure that I, as well as many of you, have been in this position for countless times in life, or at least at some point. And yet, with only one path to travel down into, we're almost like sailors sailing through a dense fog without enough information to justify if the choice that we've made is right or wrong. But before all that, I would like to invite all of you to contemplate the title of this poem, The Road Not Taken. Now, the way that I read it just a few seconds ago, I did not emphasize any single word in this title. But to be honest, when I first stumbled upon this poem, the word not really stood out to me and leaped from the page. The road not taken. And I think it's the what if behind this title that really haunts us all. What if the path that we chose isn't the best one? What if we missed out on something so much better? And what if there's just this path that's paved with gold and embedded with flowers that we're missing out on? To me, this feeling is kind of like being in the middle or at the eye of a storm where you cannot stand ground and you have this urge to fixate on the choices that you've made in the past that you would define as wrong. When in truth, we're all just paddling in the same uncertain waves. Because the crux of the matter is, even if you peer down one road as far as you can, and you find that it might be the better claim, it might just turn out to be the same thing as the other road, as you can see, because it was grassy and wanted wear, but it turns out to be just about the same. So why do we always cling to the notion that the roads that we did not choose are better? Why do we let regret take root in our hearts? And what if I were to suggest that there's a way to transform this darkness into a source of empowerment and make peace with the roads that we did not choose? This isn't just me being philosophical. There's actually a lot of scientific grounds for this, and today I want to share them to help you as well as I to mold the path that we did choose into the best fit one for us. First and foremost, the human inclination to view the unchosen path as the right one, especially when faced with disappointment in our chosen course, can be explained by the frameworks of normative decision-making and regret theory. At our core, we are programmed to believe that there is one singular correct path. So when the road we did choose falls short, we naturally gravitate towards regret, and we tend to beautify all of the other alternatives. I believe this is precisely because all of those untraveled paths are shrouded in the mist. And they're really just imagined alternatives with imagined outcomes. And as a part of human nature, it's really so much easier to succumb to regret than it is to confront the truth that the road that you did not take might just be as every bit as fraught with uncertainty and darkness as the road that you've chosen. You can think about it like this. Say that you're buying the best shoe that you want to find, that you have a lot of requirements for. And if there's only one choice in the store and you're only given this one option and it turns out to be a dud, then you would just blame the shoe industry or this mall. But if you're given this whole variety of choices and you still choose something that does not add up, you would blame yourself and suddenly it's all your fault. But why? Although the logic behind this is quite simple, I just want to say that the truth behind it is that with an abundance of choices, an illusion would materialize in which your failure would become unacceptable. But the truth is, all of these choices were made in the dark. And here I want to share a set of mindsets that can transform this darkness into a fuel of empowerment. So in his seminal book, The Paradox of Choice, psychologist Barry Sketchworth introduced the notion of maximizing versus satisficing. You heard me right, it is satisficing, and the concept basically sheds light on our inclination to choose this singular right path when making decisions. Maximizers, of which I would consider myself as one, would always prioritize making the best choice there is. So you can see from the crown on this picture, the best choice. And then satisficers, they would aim for choices that are satisfactory, so they're good enough, and they would be more accepting to failures. Now, I'm not trying to suggest that one mindset is better than the other, because I feel like I shouldn't create this generalization and put everyone in a box. So in other words, this theory suggests that maximizers would dwell more on regret and on all of their past mistakes, while satisficers would move on more easily. Well, you might find that maximizers may have a lot of stress, and I sometimes do dwell on my failures or a path that I chose wrong. But I don't want maximizers to just surrender to good enough or become a satisficer, or vice versa for satisficers to reach a higher standard and pursue a better option. What I aim to propose is that by embracing the idea that being left in the dark is a nature of decision making, and this is something we will go through a lot of times in life, we can accept that decisions are not black and white, as in the topmost row and the bottom row, but they are on a spectrum of gray, varying from lighter to darker tones. So decisions are gray, and there's actually no inherently positive or negative path. And while maximizers may find a very sound kind of decision bad and feel this twinge of regret, I still want to say that this is a part of their drive in pursuing their goals. So if you are one of these maximizers, do not change who you are, but try to embrace that these decisions are on a spectrum of gray. Now, another part that I find really interesting about this topic is how in making decisions, your intuition actually comes into the spotlight, and your rationality really accounts for this very small part. And maybe you don't know this, but your intuition is actually what fosters your cognitive flexibility, which is the capacity to shape your thinking and cognitive processes in response to evolving circumstances and challenges. So when this comes to decision making, you possess the latent power to have the steering wheel held firmly in your hands and to mold that less than ideal path into a better one, and turn that momentary darkness, as well as the shadow that trails behind this darkness, into a source of empowerment. In fact, in one of my most cherished poems, A Gift by Rabindranath Tagore, lies a profound truth that speaks to the essence of navigating the unknown. The poem reminds us that the best of gifts in life often arrive unannounced, in the sense that they sometimes surprise you or catch you off guard. So, for instance, like a scent of a hidden flower, or perhaps a fleck of sunset light. So these gifts, they captivate us, and they actually etch a mark instead of just fading like all of our material pursuits. So I feel like these gifts, something special about it is that they all catch us off guard, and they're unannounced, and they have this nature where they dwell in the realm of the unseen, where they cannot be controlled, possessed, or predicted. Now let's move on to the final stanza of this poem, the same poem that I read in the beginning by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Now notice how the emphasis here is not on the word difference, but rather on and I, it's a pronoun, so this emphasis is put on I. And I think that's just really special, because when I read this poem to you guys at the very start, it becomes evident that the road that the persona chooses to take isn't the superior one, and it's about the same as the other road. So you can't say that one is more positive or one is more negative, so I would interpret this as a neutral sort of difference. However, by emphasizing I think this poem just highlights the agency that we have to unveil all of the possibilities in which we can mold our chosen path into the best one. So by embracing the state of being left in the dark in many decision-making processes, while acknowledging that there's lots of mindsets and different mechanisms that come with it, you can shape the path that you chose, because in that moment, you are in charge. And it is also in that moment that the state of being left in the dark truly becomes the art of being left in the dark. And it is always the road that you actively choose to take, as opposed to the one that you did not, that you would dwell on with a lot of regret, that really defines you, and where you have this power to shape this road to the best fit one, not believing that decisions always have a right answer, but how you have the control to lay out the unique trajectories of your life and truly make a difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya, for bringing us to the art of being left in the dark. Now, let us invite Devu Hatamo to bring us the end of the first half of the speakers with his speech on walking to the light, a simple secret behind what we think we know. Welcome.